Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of February 6th, 2013. Please find a seat on the Liberty bus. We have a lot of stops to make today, and I won't make a whole lot of comment on any of them. I'll let you process it all for yourselves. This is about a week old, but I have not noticed it until now. Lyndon LaRouche, Federal Indictments of President. According to this webcast by Lyndon LaRouche, there are a list of charges being presented to the federal court indicting the president. And I don't know how much time you spend on Facebook, but you might want to be aware that Mark Zuckerberg is watching you. Facebook to create mobile location tracking app. That might be one upgrade to Facebook app that you want to leave behind. $3 a minute to be spent on internet trolls as EU looks to 2014 election. I've been talking a little bit about cognitive infiltration, and this is how seriously people who want to control us take cognitive infiltration. They're going, actually this is $3 million to be spent on internet trolls. So that's maybe not a significant amount of money when you consider what's spent on elections in the US, but just knowing that they are online trying to convince you to use their way is helpful. And here are basic tips for spotting and sidestepping government web goons. This is a YouTube video, but I just pointed to the blog because I thought that was kind of a cool graphic. These are the kinds of people who are paying people or building computer programs to be web goons and spread disinfo, so on and so forth. This article is astonishing. Chicago police stops immediately responding to burglaries and thefts. Now, as you probably know, Chicago has a pretty strict gun ban. So this leaves the people dangling. You know, actually not dangling. There's two sides of a vice here. On one side of the vice, their police aren't going to protect them. And on the other side of the vice, they're not supposed to have guns to protect themselves. Yikes. U.S. prison population seeing unprecedented increase. And I had an article the other day about factory prisons, about how prisons have been privatized, and there's a lot of money to be made in prisons, and sometimes when the guys sign a contract to privatize a prison, they agree on a minimum 85% occupancy, which means the police are out beating the streets to find somebody to put in jail. And interestingly enough, Shawshank Redemption was on AI. If you want to learn about how scoundrels make money off of prisons, I recommend that movie. Virginia wants to mint its own coins. And I mentioned a couple things about Virginia yesterday, wanting to block gun control and block drones. And at the time I said that it was because the politicians lived there and didn't want to be spied on by drones, but you know, maybe they really have that old spirit of 1776, because this is quite a move to be independent from the controllers. Speaking of controllers, who controls the money? An unelected, unaccountable central bank of the world secretly does. You may already be aware of this, but it's always good to have a little more information to back you up when you talk to people about it. Rockefeller Brother Fund, we're buying off evangelicals, mayors, governors for the earth. Need I say more? If you trust whatever evangelical church you happen to go to, you might want to learn a little bit more about the trust funds established, the foundations established by the Rockefellers, who have pretty much sponsored a lot of the seminaries and training grounds for pastors, evangelical pastors. So guard your minds, guard your hearts. Hard evidence of corporate takeover at all levels of government in America as well as the United Nations. This is a very good article, it has a lot of documentation, and I recommend reading it, at least scanning through the list. You'll get an idea pretty quickly of what's going on. The Coffer reports, Alex Jones has said that there is 70 trillion hidden dollars in the state of California coffers. And you probably have heard that some California cities have declared bankruptcy, cut their police forces way back, and at the same time, somewhere in some hidden account is $70 trillion that people could really use. And I want to end with this thought today. PTSD, not mental illness, not a disorder. And I love the thought here. PTSD is a perfectly healthy reaction by a mentally stable person who is exposed to horrors and atrocities. And I think the way to heal these people who are suffering from PTSD is to help them acknowledge that they've been forced to do things that are contrary to their consciences, and may these people be healed and find restoration, and may our nation stop participating in unjust wars. She who will walk in the dark thanks you for joining her in this tour of the day, and hopes that you are filled with hope, because the dawn is coming. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Take care, insist on liberty, and love one another.